out here in the Pike National Forest. We're doing an interview with Jason Teeters today and going around the area where he had an experience here about 8 years ago. It's pretty interesting. I've talked to him a couple times before we came out here, and he hasn't been out here since the night it happened. And you'll hear his story here in a little bit. Hope you enjoy.
This is the valley where it happened. This is Leon Drew, the Crypto Tracker Chronicles. I'm out here in the Pike National Forest to interview a gentleman that had an experience about 8 years ago. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us about what you experienced that day?
My name is Jason Teeters, and in 2009, me and another gentleman came up here to do some night coyote hunting. The valley behind us here has been pretty productive in the past for coyotes, and that winter we weren't seeing any. So I got a permit to do some night hunting up here. And our first trip in here, we had set up, we put our collar on the fence post over here. Started calling. We weren't calling 15 minutes when we heard something on the hillside to my left. And it kind of got our attention, but we didn't know what it was. We thought maybe it was a mountain lion or maybe coyotes moving in on us from an odd angle. And we heard a couple of distinct sounds. Still can't describe what they were. I looked at my buddy and I said, "Did you hear that?" He says, "Yeah." And there wasn't 3 feet between us when a rock that we figured weighed close to 70 pounds landed between the two of us, missing my Jeep and both of us, but it was close enough that it scared the piss out of us. We jumped in my Jeep and got the hell out. And this is the first time I've been back here since 2009. And it's unnerving even in the day standing here.
Okay, now the sounds that you heard that day, can you describe what they were? I mean, as far as, were they deep bellows? Were they high screeches? Was it a wail? You know,
it was more of a deep chuff. Oof. Is almost what it sounded like, and we heard it twice.
Kind of like how a primate might start a bluff?
Maybe.
Or a frustration with somebody in the area?
Very much so, because I've heard grizz, I've heard black bear, I've heard mountain lion. I've been hunting them all my life, and I've never heard a sound like that in the woods. It was something completely alien to these woods.
Okay. Now, could you show me an estimated size of that rock that you saw, or that came down?
It was easily big enough to have killed either one of us if it had hit us.
So it was probably 3.5 to 4 foot in diameter. Yeah. How high?
It was fairly flat. Maybe
a foot?
6 inches.
Okay.
6-8 inches.
All right. Yeah, that definitely would do it. Now the rock came from
up here somewhere, because we were parked about 8 feet behind me, and it came up from up top here somewhere.
So we're probably looking somewhere 25 to 30 feet up the hill, maybe?
Yeah. Somewhere up there.
So towards that rock that's got
because when we had the rock land between us, I grabbed the spotlight and immediately shined it up this way, and I only made it to this pine tree here, and it was at that point that we were like, yeah, we're not sticking around. I didn't shine the light any higher than that.
Okay, so more than likely not on this giant rock here, because that would have been hard, but getting more over here towards these groups of aspens and the rock that's got the almost a skirt to it.
It's very possible. Because we didn't look too much. We were still shaking for pretty good. I mean, we were heavily armed and we got the hell out of here. We weren't playing around. We didn't want to find out what the hell was up on that hill.
Now the gentleman that was with you, are you still in contact with him?
No, I'm not. He vowed never to return to Colorado, and a week later he moved to Texas.
Okay. Yeah, that's not the first time I've heard that. Now you had an interesting story we were talking about on the drive out here with your father and in Arizona. Do you find it unusual that both you and your father have had experiences, or you think it comes more with the amount of time that you guys have all spent in the wilderness?
I think it comes more with the amount of time we spent in the wilderness.
Yeah. Would you share that story with us?
When he was a kid in his 60s, he was at a Boy Scout camp in Arizona, and there was something going on in the camp that had all of the kids freaked out and all of the counselors freaked out. Counselors were running from group to group of kids, and after a counselor had left my father's area, something or someone had come through and snapped all of the wooden tent stakes for the tent platforms that they had at this particular campground, dropping all of the tents on all of the kids in this one area. And he'd never returned to that area for almost 40 years.
And what was the name of the scout camp?
Geronimo.
And that's along the
Mogollon Rim.
Which, anybody that's familiar with that, we know a gentleman passed away a year or so ago that was a primary researcher in that area. Okay, well, we'll do some walking around and some other filming, but Jason, we thank you for your time. Okay, I was moving up the hill to try to get a shot from where the rock would have came from, and I saw this. At first I thought it was just a little dugout area, and it very well may be, but there's a little bit of evidence that it's possibly something with an offset toe. And a few more. Damn it. Way up there. We may have another one over here. Yeah, there's not much form to that. That's where you gotta be a little skeptical. Yeah, I don't see anything. Alright. Moving back a little bit, I may have already contaminated the area, but damn it, water with me. What did I do? There's another one. I'm not sure. To me, this looks more dugout than an impression. But finding little weird things, document it anyway. A reenactment. 3, 2, 1. Oh! Oh! Okay, you just saw a reenactment. Now we're up at the location roughly where we think the rock was thrown from. Jason's still down there. See, it's a good distance. This is a beautiful area for anybody that didn't want to be discovered. Very similar to other areas where I've gotten reports. Multiple valleys coming into an area with a water source. Game trail. Sure, we know there's elk, deer, bighorn sheep, mountain lion, bear, fox, all come through this area. Been reported multiple times. Okay, we're about 200 feet from the creek that I just filmed. Got a main game trail down here. With a couple of shadowing trails just above it. This is definitely a predator's paradise. I also spotted just probably an old logging road just up the hill, about another 50 feet. I'm going to be following that for a little bit. Okay, we found a natural shelter. Nice lean-to. Looks like something's been living up in there. Maybe something in there right now. And if it's napping, I don't want to disturb it. Looks like it.
Hear the picas?
Yep.
That's a good food source for anything, too.
I don't see anything in there.
Is it just a strange coloration in the rock in there?
Yeah. Because I mean, here, look.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Those look like bones.
Could be.
If I was armed, I'd be adventurous and go check it
Well,
out.
I am.
I know you are.
Found a neat little fox den right here. Hopefully there's no kids in there and Mama don't get mad as hell. There's a mouse there though. He just ran up. Either that or a vole.
You got another one right here. Oh, this is the back exit.
Yeah.
Or no, that's the back exit. This is the main entrance.
So.
Oh wow. No, that's gonna be coyote. Look how big that entrance is.
Yeah. I'm sure more than one's lived in there over the years. Definitely an active little valley here.
I mean, something could be sitting here against that tree and nobody'd see a damn thing.
Yeah.
Going through here.
Nice vantage point up from up here. This is just a little north of the dens that we saw. Oh yeah. So we're not too far from where we parked. The old Crypto Tracker up there enjoying the sunshine. There's even higher points. Seems to be initiated probably by water runoff, but also it's got some markings in it like something's been moving up and down the hill. Okay, we stopped under some pine trees and try a few tree knocks and maybe a few calls, see if we get anybody who's in the neighborhood might want to talk. Get the damn camera to stand still. Hold still. There you go.
but it's thunder.
It's jet.
Oh, it is a jet. First here, it almost sounds like thunder. Lots of birds, lots of insects.
Yeah.
And a couple of mice. That's about it. Bad day in the woods is better than a good day at work.
Yeah, considering I have to be there at 3.
We've been out here for about an hour and a half. Seen some interesting things where I could see that it'd be a good place for people to stay. You know, forest people,